let's get started.
Yeah.
We have a couple of public hearings first before we start the city council meeting. So let's start with the first one. This is a public hearing for, which one? Help me out here.
Blighted property.
Oh, the blighted, okay. This is a public hearing to determine if property located at 205 West Fulton Street is blighted under Wisconsin statutes 66.1333, parent 5, parent C. This is a public hearing, and I call this meeting to order. In attendance are all council members and staff except for Mary Fair, who is on vacation. So we'll go right into the meat of this. The purpose of the hearing, and I'll just read the notice to you. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the City Council of the City of Waupaca, Waupaca County, Wisconsin, on November 20th, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the City of Waupaca Municipal Building, 111 South Main Street, Waupaca, Wisconsin, to solicit information and receive public comment about whether the property located at 205 West Fulton Street in Waupaca, and gives the parcel number, is blighted under the Wisconsin state statutes. At this time, then, we would take testimony, and I'm not sure which is in favor and which is not. So in favor of this property be considered blighted. What I'd ask is if anybody would like to give us some discussion on this, step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your discussion to 3 minutes or less. Should have asked it ahead of time. Seeing none, is there any testimony in opposition of the city blighting this property on 205 West Fulton Street? Again, seeing none or hearing none, I will declare this hearing closed at 6:03 p.m. All right, another public hearing. And this one has to do with the budget. This is a notice of public hearing, the 2019 annual property tax levy budget. Again, I'll call this meeting to order, and same council members are in attendance. The purpose of the hearing is to just discuss the budget. The budget was actually posted, and everybody had an opportunity that wanted to had the opportunity to look at that budget. So we're opening it up for the public to discuss any items or anything that's about the budget. So at this time, we would take testimony in favor of the 2019 tax levy and budget for the city of Waupaca. Is there any testimony in favor of? Any testimony in favor? If not, is there any testimony in opposition of the property tax levy and budget? Hearing none, I declare this meeting closed at 6:04 p.m.
This is the third Tuesday of the month Waupaca City Council meeting.
Right after this. All right. Let's move into the regular city council meeting then. I do call this city council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, November 20th, 2018, and it is 6:05 p.m. And let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll ask Sandy to read the clerk's open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes so that citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And also take roll for us, Sandy.
Brian Smith,
Here.
Steve Hackett,
Here.
Lori Chestnut,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Alan Keeland,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Chuck Whitman,
Here.
Mary Fair, and Eric Olson.
Here.
9 present, we have a quorum.
Consent agenda, this is items that we take with one motion unless there's a council member that would like to see any of these items moved to the regular agenda where we would act on those individually. If we have no action, then we would look for approval of the consent agenda as printed.
So move.
Second. Motion by Hackett, second by Keelan, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Under the regular agenda, Sandy, you have one big handout.
Well, under number 9, new business, letter C, resolution number 1420 was distributed.
All right, and that has to do with the budget, so that's being, it was on your agenda, it's just the handout of the information. Okay, so knowing that there's nothing else that we need to change on the agenda, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Chestnut, that we approve the regular agenda with that one handout. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Public input. This is for non-agenda items. If we have anybody in the audience or council member or staff that would like to speak to us on a non-agenda item, please give your name and address for the record. Limit your discussion to 3 minutes or less. Any public input? All right, let's move on to department head reports then. And as always, we'll start to my left, Kathy, our finance director treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. My report begins on page 8 of the packet. And just an update, we did have open enrollment for employees, and we have most of the forms back for the benefits for health insurance. And we have increased the number of opt-outs by 2. So we have a couple of employees who have gotten off of our health insurance. The PHA or public personal health assessments were completed, and all the employees except for 4 participated. Those 4 employees will be receiving reduced benefits next year because of the non-participation. Wisconsin Counties Association Group Health Trust, our health insurance carrier, is reimbursing the city for those tests, so there was no cost to us. Auditors will be in next month. I've already received my list of items that I have to get ready for them, and then they will be again in mid-February for the final. We should be able to get our financial statements out again by April next year. So, otherwise, I don't have anything else.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Kathy. I think you probably have quite a bit to say later in the meeting tonight, right? All right, let's move on to the library then. Peg?
Thank you, Mayor Smith. I'm continually reminded that people don't really realize how much the library has to offer. Mike Kirk, a local historian, was on Facebook, and he was aghast that at the big box store they didn't know what slides were, photo slides, and he was trying to purchase a scanner that would allow him to change those slides to digital images. And we actually have that technology at the library, so he's able to bring it in his slides and actually use our scanner to create those digital images that he needed. And now Tracy from the Historical Society is also going to make use of that technology. So if you know anybody with a big box of slides and they want to actually be able to use them and have digital copies, we can help them with that at the library. This week I had a patron who was really upset that she had a holds list on our Overdrive audiobook titles. And so I introduced her to one of the other resources we have, which is RB Digital, which allows you to have access to audiobooks always available. So just one more resource that we have that we can provide for people, and we can help you get started if you want to do that. It's Picture Book Month, and the Children's Department is sending over bundles of picture books to teachers that request them. And it's not just the little kids either, and some of the upper grades are using those picture books to make points about telling story and literacy. So it's really a good partnership, and there's a delivery system that moves books from the city, from the library to the schools as they need them, and then brings them back to the library. So it's a great partnership for us. In September, we started a basic computer class, and we have 10 people who are taking that class. And we started using our meeting rooms with Chromebooks that we have for programming. And what we realized is that the Chromebooks weren't the ideal situation for a lot of our users because they're older people who needed bigger keyboards. So we moved that class to the senior center, and we're using their computer lab on Wednesday mornings to provide that class. And of course, we also have lots of fun things going on at the library. On December 6th, we're partnering with the Historical Society to bring a Laura Ingalls Wilder impersonator to talk about her life and to really renew that interest in frontier stories and hopefully get a lot of people reading those books again. Our civil discussion series continues with sensitive topics. This is how we learn to talk to people and listen to people who share a different viewpoint. And that's on November 27th at 6 o'clock, and everyone's welcome to join us. We did open a new exhibit. It's a Vietnam War Memorial exhibit, and it's a face for every name, and it has pictures of all of the Wisconsin servicemen that were lost during the Vietnam War. It's a pretty emotional exhibit, but I hope that you'll plan on visiting. It's open until the 5th of January. And on December 13th, we have a fun night out for adults. We're providing an escape room. You'll work with 9 other people in your group to figure out how to get out of the room, and based on the Christmas story. So if you know that story and love it from TV, come and join us. Just need to sign up in advance. And that's about all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Peg. Sounds like fun. Let's move on to Development Director Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. My report's on page 63 of the packet. We had another successful trip with our branding and wayfinding consultants from Texas. They were in this past week, and I want to thank the businesses and the individuals that helped them with their research this week in the process. This second trip was really to kind of take a look at 2 folds. One, to see what happens in the community in late fall and early winter time. We were very fortunate to be able to go to deer camp on Saturday night, and just a couple of them hanging up on the poles. So it was interesting to hear the stories and history of some of the deer camps that are out there, because it is part of this community in this area. We're inching closer on that project. I anticipate that our consultants will be back probably in February, late January, early February, to kind of present their findings for the project to date. Within the packet, you also see a new report underneath the building inspector's report. We're also now starting to publish the code enforcement or code compliance citations that we send out. Trying to be a little bit more transparent in the process, and again, as council members do get on occasion calls from their constituents who want to make people up to date on that construction-wise. We're busy. 2 of the apartment projects are under construction right now, footings and foundations out at the near the Cap Services subdivision, and they're working on other utility work. The highway garage is a weekly trip out there, at least twice for Jane right now. They're doing their footings and foundations for that project. And the construction of our Eco Park pond is at about 80%. The mass grading and rough blacktop was put in, but due to the late season, we'll have to plant the landscaping in spring. So everything else is information.
Thank you, Brennan. Let's move over to Public Works then. Justin.
Thank you, Mayor. My information can be seen in the packet on page 65 and 66, and as usual, starting on the wastewater side. We're nearly ready to submit our permit for our new pollution discharge system permit to the DNR. That's got to be due by January. So we'll have that in. We will not know until about June of 19 of basically how our permit will be changed, adjusted, if any. Basically, they're the ones, DNR tells us what we need to do for our treatment process. So we have a feeling they're going to change some things, in particular phosphorus levels, but we've been doing a lot of work recently to look into what we can do to come into compliance with our current plant how it's set up, and also looking further into the future. But either way, we should be ready for that, and more information to come on that. An energy study was completed at the treatment plant by an engineering firm. It was sponsored by Focus on Energy. So basically, it was almost a $10,000 study that we only paid roughly $900 for. So we got a lot of value out of the study, and it's going to help us basically prioritize projects in the future, and even right down to just replacing simple light bulbs with LEDs have all been kind of identified on this plan. So that's a big positive for the treatment plant. Jesse and I are in the process of filling the vacancy down there. We received many applications for the opening. We reviewed. We've actually done some interviews. It's still open. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. We're planning on moving on to a second round at this point, and it is still open until filled, so we are still accepting, and we actually did receive some in the middle of our first round that we did review and are still considering. So. Chain District did some improvements with their sampling equipment at our plant. There was an order issue this last year, and it was a combination of our flows and their flows. And we both made improvements in it. I feel it's really helped. I have not received order complaints in quite some time. When I've been down there, I really haven't noticed anything unusual. Move on to the street side. City Hall Square project is not quite done. The street lights still need to go up. I heard a rumor that we weren't going to put them up, and that's false. We are just waiting for the lights to come in. They're on back order. They're a specialized item because they're decorative, and basically the manufacturer of street lights it's just a long wait time. So we're just waiting for those to come in, and we'll put them in. We're currently waiting on WPS to basically reconnect the power to the outside, but that is all under process, and we're working on it diligently and hopefully getting these things up within the next couple weeks. I had a public information meeting on Evans Street. I saw Scott there. It went well attended. It went very well. About 40 people showed up. We have a lot of input we received from the residents there. And at this point, we were reviewing a number of options on how to construct it. I think we got it pinned down. I need to just talk with the engineers, talk with some people on site again. Some of the issues that came up is we're going to have to cut down some trees out there because we are widening the road. We have to do some adjustments to people's landscapings, and then also just allow access and, of course, complete this road the best we can to allow both pedestrian, bike, as well as vehicle traffic at the same time. So I will have more information on that coming up in the future. If you haven't noticed, the signals at the base of 10 are complete. That's been done for quite some time. I just had it in here. Leaf pickup got a little behind schedule with some of the bad weather. We had a bunch of rain, and then we got a little bit of snow. We're still working on it, so get your leaves out there, and we'll come around. And we did have our first snow event, which wasn't too bad, but we did get the salt trucks out there and cleared off the road. I'll be talking about the Snow Fighter Appreciation Day later, and our brand new snow plow is expected to come in next week. So we'll have a nice shiny new plow for this winter snow events. Water side, not much is going on, except for well 6 is back online. Well 3 is still not online. However, it's not affecting our system. We had a little bit more, like I think I've noticed or noted before, at a few additional items of work at well 3, which were not anticipated. We're expecting that to get back online pretty soon here. DNR reviewed our system as they do every year. We had a few adjustments we had to make. It was nothing major. There was no violations. However, that happens with policy change and also with new DNR representatives working with us. So we're working on those things. We have a bunch of it wrapped up and completed. We're expecting to get everything noted on that report by the end of the month. Finally, facility side, Russ is working on another tree grant. We were awarded the Great Lakes Tree Grant, which was $2,500 last month, but we're working on another one. We certainly have plenty of areas where we can plant new trees, so we're working on that. And we're looking at installing a new bubbler here at City Hall. The library installed 2 new bubblers recently where you can put your water bottle underneath, and apparently it's been getting a lot of good reviews. And there's interest on the City Hall side, so we're going to follow through with that. So the rest is informational.
Thanks, Justin. All right, next we have Parks and Rec. Andrew.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. We'll start down in the senior center. They just showed some appreciation to the wonderful volunteers that they have and had a volunteer banquet last week. They rely heavily on a lot of volunteers to do a lot of good things down there, and so they wanted to show appreciation to them. This time of year, they're doing a lot of their training, so Sarah will be taking kind of an advanced Tai Chi for, how did she word it, adaptive form. She'll be going to Appleton. It's a 3-part thing. This is the 3rd part, so she's been working hard on that. And some of the other staff, like Kathy, is taking an AFEP training course right now as well, just to better understand the needs of the seniors and to help with those classes as well. On the recreation side, the big thing that Cassandra's been working on and really just working hard on is we're going to switch up a little bit on how we do our booklets and the way we do those and the way we get them out. And we're going to switch over to the company that the senior center's been using, which actually gets rid of all of our costs for that. And they go out and get the advertisements for that, and they keep the money. If there's extra, we actually get some back. So that's going to save us quite a bit of money, and we're going to work with the schools to make sure we get them out to all the families in the community as well. So I think because of the cost savings and the ability to get them out a little bit better, there'll be a lot less waste, and I think we're going to do some good things there. So she's been working on that very diligently. We kind of have to re-put the book back together, but I think she's getting pretty close, and it's going to be really, really good. And it's just another way we can work with the schools to get information out as well. Other than that, we're rolling in basketball right now. We got kids basketball, 2 different levels, and men's basketball starting soon as well. In the parks and things that I'm working on right now, we got a lot of projects going that we're working on the details of. So we've already started. I know I've talked about the docks a few times and needing to replace those. We've come up with a plan there. We're working on getting some pricing and some different ideas for those docks, and we're working with Jackie and Josh and everyone that's involved down there to make sure that we're replacing them but keeping the patrons safe and allowing the lifeguards to do their jobs as well. We're still working on the floor at Swan, and then the Riverside Park project, I'm looking forward to getting a plan soon, and I will let you guys know that. I've been working with the DNR, and I think they're getting pretty close to having a plan to fix that cut through that is getting worse by the month, it seems like, over there at Riverside Park, so we'll get that fixed. I've talked a little bit in other meetings, but I don't believe I brought it up here. I know with our Inland Lakes Fund lowering, I want to look for different ways to maybe bring in something to work on the aquatic invasive species that we're dealing with in both Shadow and Mirror Lake. Talked to the DNR about possible AIS management grants is what they are. And to go after one of those, we first need to, I found out, go after an aquatic plant management plan, which there's also grants for. So I'm working to connect with people who have done that in the area and make sure that we get that right so that we can go after a grant for money to manage some of the aquatic invasive species. So we'll work towards that as well. The last thing is we have made a decision on what we're doing with an ice rink this winter, and we are going to go back to, once it's safe, after some research and cost analysis on what it was costing us, we're going to go and try to clear a rink on Shadow Lake again and make that a nice spot and hopefully get some lighting in there and do some things so that it's visible and people see it, and we can get it being used and have a neat place for community members. So it'll be down by Lower South Park shelter again. So that is the direction we're going with that as well. So, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, and we have Sergeant Helgeson here tonight. John,
good evening,
thanks.
Mayor and Council. My information, the police department's information starts on 42 of the packet. The commission met at its regular scheduled meeting on November 13th, during which they approved minutes from the October meeting, as well as the chief's expense report and monthly reports. They were advised that we're currently updating our policy book, and it was approved that the commission will review those policies biannually. Officer Matt Batt and Officer Tom Grant have completed their 18 months of probation, and it was approved by the commission that they should be removed from as probationary status and full-time status. They're doing an excellent job for us. Lieutenant Johnson provided his retirement in writing to the commission. His last official date will be January 4th of 2019. The commission approved his retirement. His leadership will be missed, and he's been a vital part of the department for the last 29 years. There was some discussion about his position coming up. We feel that, or the chief feels that that position should be a captain's position. It was agreed that that'll be the route that we'll go. The commission approved it. There's not going to be any financial impact. The wage will be the same. It's just a different, some different job descriptions in that title. Kathy was nice enough to attend the meeting and talk to the commission about any budget impact that he'll have as paying out his benefits. We also talked about replacing the body cameras that we currently use. We're looking at Axon cameras. It's a better quality camera. I think we're going to be able to retain more videos, easier access to them. I think it's a good deal, and the commission approved to go ahead and get them as our body cameras. We also talked about that we participated in a statewide drug take-back on October 27th, during which there was 49.6 pounds of medication that was turned into us. This is kind of about average to the couple of times that we do them. We're still going to participate that in the spring and fall. Sergeant Graceffa celebrated 16 years with the department on October 19th. And then we also talked about adopting a family. We're going to continue that. Lori's a big part of that program with us. And so that's something we want to continue. And then we also recognize 4 veterans on our department: Jerry Allen, Sergeant Graceffa, Sergeant Krieger, and Officer Rodenz. Tom Grant is an active member of the military, so he was also recognized. The rest of the items in the packet are informational.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on then to IT. Josh.
Starting off with a couple of bigger issues that we're working through. The phone server at the police department has died again, and I'm having issues getting replacement parts for that. That server's about 10 years old. Farmers State Bank is lending us their spare server, so we're getting by with that short term. I've ordered some parts off eBay that I'm hoping will take care of that. With the phone server, I've got 11 proposals for a new phone system for our 3 main facilities. So the staff work group that's helping with that will be looking at those pretty soon and moving forward, assuming that that gets adopted in next year's budget to replace that. Our TV station server, which basically handles every little thing we do next door, failed as well with a power glitch or some sort of surge or something a couple weeks ago. So I've been talking with, there's kind of 3 main vendors out there. I've been talking with them, working to get pricing and get information to get what we need to get back to where we are. I've been talking with our insurance company, and it sounds positive they'll do some sort of claim on that. Whether it covers the whole cost or not, I don't know yet. Been spending extra time doing training with some new staff I've got. And then the laptops that everyone in here has for city council, probably after our next meeting, I'll be asking for those. I've got an upgrade I'll be doing to put some more performance in those and get them running better. And I think, Alan, you've probably noticed yours is a bit quicker.
Quite a bit faster.
Perfect. So probably after the next council meeting, I'll look to collect those, but just a heads up that that's coming up.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. All right, Henry.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening. My report's on page 71. There's not a ton of stuff to report. I'm back now, back in the saddle full-time after about 6 weeks of medical leave. Some things on the horizon to make you aware of. I wanted to come back to your next meeting and discuss the urban deer hunt to see if council's supportive of that. As you know, we did it last year, and I think we had pretty good success. I think there's obviously some changes we can make. The most significant one is when to start. We started pretty late last year, but that will be coming up. And then we're getting to the final stages of the pretty laborious process to go out to bid for our taxi service. I'll be bringing that forward for you next week. The review panel's gotten done with their work, and we had to get the DOT's approval to get to this next step, which will be for you to award the contract. All the procurement requirements have been met on that. So those are really all I have, Mayor.
All right.
This month. Thanks.
Thank you, Henry. All right, let's go on then. Let's go to new business. We have a license report on page 96 of your packet. This is for an operator's license, and as you can see from the memo that's on page 97, 97, that Chief Hosel is recommending that we deny the operator's license for this individual. So unless you have any questions, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
I'd make that motion.
Second. Motion by Hagan, second by Hackett, that we deny the operator's license for Kristen K. Penny. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, next we have resolution 1421, which has to do with the public hearing that we had on the blighted property on 205 West Fulton Street. And Brennan, you going to take us through this?
Sure. This item starts on page 101 of your packet. I will not read through the entire resolution, but this is in regards to 205 West Fulton Street, also known as Midtown Motors. As the city is currently underway to acquire this property before the end of this year. Years ago, there was when the private owner that currently owns it, he had a project with the Wisconsin DNR to clean up the site because it was a former gas station. On the site, there are some additional funding or additional funds that are still available within the fund. So in the event when the city takes down the property in the future years, if before 2020, if there is any additional contamination that is located on the site, we'll be able to access funds from the Wisconsin DNR. So the resolution that's in front of you this evening is to consider the project blight. It also dems the city of any future requirements, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Anybody have any questions on why we're doing this, or?
I think one point, once this gets approved, we will send this to the DNR, and we will get a letter.
Correct.
That we're in compliance with the state statute governing this, and the closing of the property will not happen until we get that letter, right?
Correct. The DNR has already drafted the letter, and we are targeting closing of the property no later than December 14th.
All right. If you're okay with this, then we would need approval of this resolution.
Move to approve resolution number 1421.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut, that we approve of resolution number 1421. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
and Paul Mayo.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
All right. Thank you, Brennan and Henry. Next, let's go to resolution number 1420. This is a resolution designating appropriations and levying a tax. Oh, did I skip? No, that's right, isn't it? Okay. So this is for 2019 budget of the City of Waupaca. And this was your handout that you received tonight, so I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor. Today was the day that the state released its school levy credit and lottery credit and first dollar credit. So that's why everything kind of waited till the last minute. Sorry for that. But the resolution for the tax levy is exactly what it was presented last meeting. We're showing that there is a decrease in the levy. We're going to be down. Looks like it's going to be $9.63, which will bring the levy rate or the mill rate down 4 cents for the city. I had some adjustments with the TIF district increments, so that's where a little bit of adjustments are made with some cents and dollars. On a $100,000 home, that the total rate would be $27.25 per thousand, and a $100,000 home, the tax bill would be $2,725. The nice thing is, whatever increase we have in the mill rate is going to be offset by the larger increase in the lottery credit. Our lottery credit is almost $185 next year. It's up $56, and the first dollar credit on improvements is up by $2.57. So on a $100,000 home, the net increase is actually a decrease of $13.59. So the rate is been reduced, and I've just provided, again, a combination of the public hearing notice and some information on a 5-year tax levy history for those of you who want to see where our tax levy has been going on since 2014. And that's all on the behind the resolution 1420. We are in equal with the percentage of our tax levy and the school district. We're both at about 35% of the total levy. Even with our decrease in our assessed value of $9.8 million from the personal property tax. As I said, the other budgets, nothing's changed since last week's presentation.
Okay, so what we get out of this, really, quite honestly, is that if we look at what we call our normal $100,000 home, you'll see when you put in all of the taxing authorities, you'll see that your tax bill will go down just under $15 from where it was last year. So, that was with some increases from the other taxing authorities. So it was helpful to get the lottery credit, the first tax credit, but we are also able to keep our budget under control to make sure that we did see some savings to the city taxpayers. So I think that's a great compliment to our city staff and Kathy for working up the numbers, and obviously for council for allowing us to work through this and get to something that we feel comfortable with. So with that, I would, unless I have any other questions, I would look for a motion to approve this resolution so that we can move forward.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve resolution number 1420.
Second.
Motion by Mayo, second by Olson, that we approve of resolution number 1420. This is a resolution designating appropriations and levying a tax for the 2019 budget for the city of Waupaca. Any further discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
and Alan Keeland.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
All right, we're still going here, water and sewer, and, okay.
Tonight I handed out the water budget, which was also presented last meeting, but I'm also have included for you some financial benchmarking information that we had done by Baker Tilly CPA. This is to show you where the water utility rates would be handled. So on the third page, if you look at the benchmarking summary, in that there are some capitals based on the 5-year capital plan that the water utility has, and it includes the 18 borrowing. We did have a slight rate increase. It was 3%, but it was a half year, so that they figured 1.5% only on the forecast. But it shows that we can still maintain debt service coverage and cash flows with the reserves that we have without having a rate increase in 2020. However, in 2021, if we don't do any type of increase, you're looking at a 20% rate increase to be able to come back up to the rate of return that the Public Service Commission recommends, which is 5%. We're running just under 2% rate return with our smaller increases. But we're looking at, if we don't do any simplified rate increases in the meantime, we'll probably be looking at a 20%. And that would not be my recommendation going forward. My recommendation would be is to continue with the small inflationary simplified rate increases until the full water meter project is completed, which should be about 2021 or 2022 when we do the borrowing for Main Street, and then go look for a full rate case and determine what that is. And it shouldn't be more than, it shouldn't be the 20% that they're estimating. On the next page, it just kind of shows you some more cash flow forecasting, where we're showing negative cash flows each year because of no rate increases. So I just wanted to include that for the water utility. And that's just for informational purposes only.
So, Kathy, you're saying that if we don't increase the rates here, at least at a minimal amount here, that we're looking at 20% in 2 years. So what is your recommendation?
My recommendation is to continue with the simplified rate increase. That's where, after the report is filed in April, we wait until June and then do another half-year type of simplified rate increase, which right now the Public Service Commission is authorizing 3%, which is inflation. So I think if we continue that, it'll still continue to build up the amount of cash that we need to be able to do the return on investments that we are putting in. And we don't need to borrow again until we get to Main Street, correct, Justin? For the water utility, because we're looking at probably about $500,000 to $750,000 for Main Street for the water, and about the same for the sewer utility for borrowing. But I would suggest that we continue to do these small little rate increases, and that way there's not this sticker shock.
If we put simple math together here, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this,
Yeah.
Kathy, but so if we increase it in 19 3%, and we increase it 3% in 20, that's 6%. That still means in 21 that we would have to increase it by 14%?
It
Or-
depends on if we could have some more, how would you say, efficiencies maybe built into the system on our operations. That's what we would really have to look at. They're also looking at, when they did these projections, that they were looking at a 3% inflationary increase in operational, and we know that that's not what we have, because our wages aren't going up 3%. Our benefits could fluctuate, but our cost of services, if you look at what what inflationary is still less than 2%. So I don't think I think you could get some efficiencies to be able to build that up. If you look on that third page where the proposed rate increase and the rate after return on increases are, the average residential bill is about $150. So the 3% would probably cost another maybe $15, $20, if that, a year. So
Okay.
I think that the recommendation would, as Justin and I put the budget together for 19, would be, again, we'll come back to council when we decide after the Public Service Commission report is done in April, that we do a recommendation for either a simplified rate increase or wait. Again, I provided you with the sewer utility, and we did do also an analysis of the sewer utility, and right now it is in good cash flow basis. It does have debt coverage, and it would not look to do a increase until probably 2020, a 3% increase. So I think that fund is in better shape, especially now that we've refinanced the outstanding debt that's out there. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Kathy, let me go back to the
Sure.
to the water again, because that's required. So if we chose to not go with the simplified, then you have to do the full
You'd have to do a full rate increase.
analysis or whatever.
An analysis, and that does cost some money to do that. And then you have public hearings and filings, where the simplified rate case is one of those where after the report is filed, the commission gives you, based on your cash flows and your operating, whether or not you deserve up to a 3%. You could deserve that you don't get more than a 1%, depending on how well you're doing. But that's usually done after the report's done.
And so if you do that analysis, it's good for as long as you don't go above what the
5%.
Above the 5%?
Rate of return, correct.
Okay.
And since we're not anywhere near the 5% rate of return, I think that just doing the 3% until, like I said, we get those meters installed and we're able to look at what the cost of those meters operating and beacon surcharge fees for the residents to be able to look up their bills online and see actual real-time usage, and helping us in determining where leaks are. That's where I'm kind of focusing when we would do a full rate case.
Okay. And Justin, we've seen in the past years that our water usage has gone down, which is a good thing, obviously, but when you're an enterprise fund, that also means you have less revenue. Is that still continuing?
You mean our usage is continuing down?
Yeah, declining.
Well, last time I presented to you, it was down. I'm not sure about this current year. I think we were kind of plateauing and leveling out. The thing that we're most concerned with is basically our sales to pumpage ratio. So basically, we're trying to figure out when we're pumping our water, why we're not selling 100% of it. And it's natural. I mean, it's nearly impossible to do 100%. So we're trying to do a lot with the leak location, leak detection, replacing our old mains, and that's kind of what we're focused on. So that basically, what we're pumping, we're selling. So we're recouping our costs. But so the water usage has mostly stabilized, I guess, since last I reported. So.
All right. Thanks. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. So we're looking for a motion to approve
Just
these budgets for
the
tonight?
budgets, correct.
Okay. All right. So if you wish, council, we'd be looking for a motion to approve the water and sewer budgets.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Peterson, that we approve of the 2019 fiscal year 2019 water and sewer budgets. Any discussion? Scott?
Kathy, I have one question here.
Sure.
With the net cash flows had on this page 8 here, what caused the difference from 18 being a positive 700,000 and they're projecting almost a deficit of 500 for 19? Is that what I'm seeing? You got these net cash flows here?
The net cash flows is about 400,000, and
Yeah.
it's probably from the fact that we had this big influx of cash when we borrowed. So now we're using that cash to pay for the infrastructure. It's just using down the
all right.
cash that we borrowed.
All right, thanks.
Okay, well, we can do that next. All right, any other discussion? Okay, let's understand that we're just talking about water and sewer right now. Ready to vote? Sandy will call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
and Steve Hackett.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
And so we're going to take up Waupaca Online at the next meeting?
We
Or are
can.
you ready tonight?
Or, I haven't changed Waupaca Online since last meeting, so that budget's still the same. It's $192,000 worth of revenue and $171,000 in expenses. There is, they continue to operate in a positive mode, mostly because of the grant money coming in and Josh's frugality with the service. So there are costs set from the operations that are covered by the general fund expenses that are offset here. So we do get some money for administration and clerical work. So there isn't anything different in this
Good.
one.
Josh, you're okay with the budget that you and Kathy and staff have put together?
Yeah, everything's good for it. I think the biggest changes for next year, one's the grant that we're working on. With that, we've had more customers, so I've taken a look at slowly increasing our staffing next year. That's been one of the things I guess I've been pretty frugal with as we've regrown the service. So we're going to be looking at ramping up Ralph's time. We're looking at increasing part-time hours. And then the other big change is we upgraded to the 500 meg service with Spectrum, so that raised our monthly rate. I forget the exact number. I think we went up about $400 or $500 a month for our internet bandwidth expense for next year. Otherwise, I think the rest of it's pretty similar to what we've been doing this year, last year.
All right. Council, any questions? You okay with approving that tonight then? Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Chestnut to approve the Waupaca Online budget for 2019. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
and Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. Nice to have that done with for another year here. Absolutely. All right, let's move on then. We have resolution number 1422. This is a resolution supporting Snow Fighters Appreciation Day. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I looked at doing this resolution typically yearly, or annual, I should say. It's done by the state. This year I did not see it was completed, so I thought we should do it here and honor our street department and their selfless service to removing snow off the streets. So I would like to read it, as there's a number of good facts, I think, on here to raise awareness. So Wisconsin is home to some 3,000 professional county municipal snowplow operators who frequently work long hours in extremely difficult weather conditions to help keep roadways safe and open for everyone. Wisconsin experiences some 40 winter weather events each year, and 40 inches of snow falls each winter. Winter precipitation contributes to approximately 1,300 fatalities and nearly 120,000 injuries on national highways yearly. 43 road miles of public roads in the city of Waupaca keep our residents connected and the economy moving throughout the year. Clearing snow and ice cuts winter weather-related crashes up to 90%. Economic studies have found that severe winter events where roads are closed can cost snowbelt states $300 to $700 million per day, and net costs related to snow emergencies have a severe impact on wages, tax revenue, and retail sales. Salty icing operations pay for themselves within 25 minutes of application and generate $6.50 in benefits to every dollar in cost after the first 4 hours. The year-round planning of winter storms and investments in equipment and technology are critical to the well-being of our citizens. Emergency snow fighters interrupt time with their families at an hour and at a moment's notice to protect the drivers and serve their communities. The emergency work done by frontline snow fighters have saved and will save an unknown number of our citizens. So I'll let you finish it up, Mayor, and please, when you see our street crew and a couple park crews removing snow, thank them, give them a pat on the back. Next Tuesday at the rec center, we will be doing our annual snow removal meeting. We'll review a number of operations, maintenance items, safety checklist, and we have a few laughs and eat a little food at the same time. So you're all welcome to attend. So that's next Tuesday at 11:30. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Justin. Let me just finish it up then. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the city of Waupaca declares November 27th, 2018 Snow Fighters Appreciation Day. And we'd be looking for a motion to put this on file.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 1422.
Second.
Motion.
Motion by Whitman, second by Hagan, that we approve of resolution 1422. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
and Eric Olson.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
All right, Justin, thank you. License report number 1427. This is operator's license that city and police chief have approved, so we would just be looking for a motion to approve these licenses.
So move.
Motion by Hackett, second by Peterson, that we approve of license report 1427. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Communications, recommendations of the mayor. Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, safe driving if you're going anywhere. But hopefully we'll get a little bit of snow here to go along with it.
Bite your tongue.
We got to see how well they work.
I've seen how well they work. That's good.
I was thinking of the hunting season, quite honestly. We'd be looking for a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Keelan that we adjourn. Our city council meeting, subject to call, our next meeting is December 4th, 2018. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We're adjourned exactly 7 PM. Have a safe trip home, everybody. Be safe.